It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your two best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's reality alert. Oh my God. It is a special day on the podcast because we are here live with the superior Mark Wahlberg. That is right. Mark L. Wahlberg, host of Russian Roulette, Antique Roadshow,
Come on.
and both Temptation Islands.
Yeah.
That is true.
Both Temptation Islands. That's exactly right.
Yes.
And may
You
I
gotta
say
lead with
before we
Russian
get into
roulette
this,
too. Yeah.
your theme song rivals "You're Not Gonna Tempt Me."
Oh, thank you.
We do
Just
need
so
a
sketchy.
we do need a little whisper.
Oh no.
We do need a little whispering part after our theme song where it goes, "We're Max and Ben."
Stay on alert. This is already going so much better than I thought it would.
Hey, it is a killer theme song. It really is.
Yours and mine are both killer theme songs.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark, we have sound bites of you too, so we're really excited about this.
Oh man, this is a multimedia event.
So many sound bites. Yep.
Yeah, Mark, we have been fans of you for, our whole lives. I remember growing up in middle school, coming home and watching Russian Roulette on Game Show Network.
By the way, I got that show because of a middle schooler.
Explain.
So creepy.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need an explanation on that.
Wow. I heard it. I thought it, and then it came out, and I realized what I said. So I had been no, I didn't get that show from that. I got something because of that show from a middle schooler. Never mind, that story is terrible. I was doing Russian Roulette, and this 10-year-old son of a creative director for corporate saw me and was a fan and said, "I wonder if he does live stuff." And that guy called me, and I ended up doing corporate events all over the country. And now that little 10-year-old who discovered me is a broadcaster in Spain for football and is like a big time.
Oh, no way.
That's amazing.
For 15,
awesome.
20 years. So pretty much fucked up that story, but
for those of you who don't know about Russian Roulette, it was a show where if you lost a certain amount of trivia questions, you would basically play a game where you'd pull a lever and you could potentially end up falling through the floor. Mark would send you through the floor.
Which that gimmick has shown up on every show since, but that was kind of the OG of that, dropping people through the floor, which I wanted to incorporate on Antiques Roadshow. I wanted it to be like, your watch is a fake. PBS.
Could it be done on Temptation Island? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, put it on Temptation Island.
It could be there.
If it's a rejected proposal,
or do you want to leave alone?
If it's a rejected proposal, Anya falls through the floor. Yeah.
Or as you eliminate singles, that's how they leave.
Just right. Yes.
Poor Ray Rock down the hall.
No, poor Ray Rock.
Ray Rock falls through a hole in the island. Not Ray Rock. He is.
He'd still be hyping up that island from down in that trap.
He is everyone's hype man. I love that dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of the show, a big friend of ours, and we were very sad that he never got a date. We think the rules should be changed. So if your name is Ray
has
Rock,
to get a date.
Yes, especially if your name is Ray Rock, you should get a date.
And then do they get a Temptation Island participation trophy? It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. Just Ray Rock.
Just Ray Rock then. That's the only rule is if Ray Rock ever comes back on the show, he has to be dated at least twice or 3 times. Yeah.
I think he'll have no shortage of dates now.
Sure.
I agree.
After being on the show. Yes. Yeah. No, we actually we recapped a pilot for a show that was similar to Russian Roulette. It was called The Love Trap. We recapped that one. And it was what did you think, Max? It was okay.
It was okay, but at the end it was like a Bachelor type show, and at the end of each episode he would send one of the women through the floor. So when he rejected them, he would send them through the floor.
That's a metaphor for every toxic masculine moment in our history.
Yeah, it was
basically that encapsulates the entire Me Too movement in one action.
Right.
Yes, it was pretty dark. We could only make it through one episode.
Yeah, I don't think I could host that one.
It was wild though, because the first time that he did it and the woman fell through the floor, the look on his face was like he was petrified. He was looking like, what have I done? He was so in shock. He was like, I knew what the premise was, but I just didn't think it would be like this.
Visceral.
Mark, you loved sending people through the floor, though.
I wish I could do it again. That show was so fun. That show was so fun. All I did, and we did a lot of episodes, and they're all over YouTube. And I still get, people, sending me messages all the time. Bring back Russian Roulette. I personally don't like the title. I don't like the gun reference. I don't like the Russia reference. There's a lot of references.
It's not. They'd have to change it.
In today's day and age, it doesn't really.
That might be dated. But the show itself was simple and fun, and I had a great time, and we had a lot of funny episodes on it. And it was one of those shows. I say this a lot. I say it on Temptation Island to our staff and crew too. That the shows that do well are the ones that have a vibe, like amongst the people working on it. And we had a vibe on that show. We had a blast on that show.
Nice.
We do 6 in a day, just like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess talking about Temptation Island, Mark, because that is what we were here to talk about. You were on the original iteration of Temptation Island, and then you also came back for the reboot. How did that happen? How did you happen to be on both of them? Was that by design? How did that occur?
So no design in my life. There's no design in any of this, just random flow of life. Matter of fact, and I talk about this a lot when I'm being serious, that I don't really believe in plan at all. I believe in preparation. I believe in energy. I believe in working hard, but I don't particularly believe in plan, because plan limits you. There are things that happen outside of plan that if you're on a plan, it limits the possibility. But to answer your question, the first one, I wasn't working. Reality TV it had just come out, like Big Brother, Survivor. And then there was this pilot, not even pilot, because it was cheaper just to do 7 episodes than to do a pilot. So they were going to do this thing, and nobody knew about it. And I got a call from my agent to go in for an audition, which is, again, I can count in my nearly 40 years of TV. This may be the only show I ever got from an audition, straight up audition. They're always through some backdoor, some weird turn of events. But the audition was, I'm sitting
through
with
a middle schooler,
right? What's that?
I said through a middle schooler.
Yeah. No. It was just, of age and open and consensual backdoor. Oh man, I have dug myself. So the audition was me sitting with a casting director and somebody else, and they described the premise of what they thought the show was going to be. And they said, and so these couples we've just described have spent the evening at a mixer with the singles where they just met them, and now it's the next morning at breakfast and they're discussing it. Go. And I'm like, okay, so improv skills, and I started jumping into saying to the casting director, I noticed that you were really chatting up that blonde, that girl that came up to you and seemed like you had some vibe. And how did that make you feel? Like, just started writing a show, right? Because
yeah.
What else? So I leave to go back to my high school reunion, I think. And on the way back from the airport, I get a call from my agent saying they want to see you again for a callback. So I go to the callback, and the producers are there, and they're like, we don't really know if you're the right host for the show, but we wanted to have you back in to see how the rest of that episode went when I was improv.
Oh, I love that. That's
I'm like,
great.
Dude, hire me. And so next thing I knew, I was in Belize doing this experiment of a show where we literally were feeling it out as we went. And there was no script. There was very little plan. And it was just and also the guy who created the show and was the executive producer at the time was really heady, like a heady dude who I dig. And so he was really like about it, like being real. And I was about it too. And so the Bonfires were literally like that was before an earpiece or any communication or anything. And I was sitting like at a bonfire on the beach, and they would be down under an easy up with a bunch of, monitors 100 yards away, and I would go in and just do what I thought for like an hour. And then when I felt like I was at a stopping point, I'd get up and walk away and go over to them and say, they go, that was great, but go back and do this pickup. And so it was very organic. And so that was that show. So it,
Wow.
it lasted 2 seasons on Fox and then a third on a cable channel, and then was gone for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, in 2018, I guess, they announced they were going to reboot it on USA Network. The USA Network bought the title and they're going to reboot Temptation Island. And I looked at my wife. I said, isn't that something, man? That they bring back that show, and it's not going to be me. And so I get a call to come in for a meeting. And I've told this story a million times, but so those of you who've heard it before, sorry. But I said it's like this scene with Morgan Freeman in Shawshank when he's going into the parole board, but he has now given up hope. He's just like, it's a different thing. So instead of trying to go, here's why I should be paroled, he looks at the parole board and says, rehabilitated. I don't even know what that means. My first sorry for what I've done. Yeah. But do I care what you think? No. So stamp your paper. And then they approve his parole.
Yeah.
Well, that was
like, damn, you don't even want this.
I'm sitting back like
we
this.
We gotta give it to
that show killed my career, 20 years ago. And I know you're not even looking to hire me. So, and I wasn't bitter. I was really, really okay about it. And I was really kind of just saying, look, here's how we did the show. I don't know what you're planning to do. And it was very loose and very real. And I said, and the only thing I could tell you from the host standpoint is make sure you get somebody that actually knows what they're doing, because there was no backbone. I was doing me, and this show needs that. So make sure you get somebody that can do that. And then I left. And then 2 weeks later, I was in Hawaii with my wife. And I'm like, what?
Awesome. That's insane.
And I was like, the whole time, I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, just be real quiet and do whatever they tell us, because I think they're going to discover I'm not supposed to be here at any moment. So that's how that went.
Well, I'm so glad it went that way, because I can't picture Temptation Island without you. It's like you are the show. Like we're big fans of what Survivor too, and we're both big believers that show is not that show without Jeff Probst.
And he's a great guy.
Yeah,
I ran into him not long ago. He's just a real gem of a guy. Probst.
Oh, we love him. Yeah.
Mark, I was watching a little bit of the old Temptation Island, and your approach is a little bit different back then.
Is it?
I felt that you were more about asking questions rather than imparting more wisdom. Like, I feel that now we get this more like people make the joke that you're a therapist now, and that like you're imparting wisdom and stuff. When did you become so wise? When did you start imparting wisdom? And like, was that your idea?
By the way, you could substitute wise with pompous.
No, I don't think so. I really think
it would hit the same way.
I think you're so sage-like. Was that your idea for the show to start?
No. Here's the thing. When I first came back to do it, you got to remember, I had a whole life. I'm much older. I've had a lot of life since then. But even then, I had it over on the people who were on the show, because I was already married, and I may have already had kids at that point. Yeah, I think so. And so, it was a whole different trip. And I did offer some stuff on the original, but it was more questions and, turning the emotion around. What happened here was in season 1 of the new one, I came on to do the show. And you got to remember that reality TV had grown into an industry since I had left.
Sure.
And everybody there had a way of doing it. Like, it was a machine, right? Yeah. So now I come on, nobody knew who I was really, other than watching YouTube and saying, oh, this relic from the past is coming back to host the show. And, but I did what I do, right? And they were like, what? He doesn't have a script. He's just going to do it. And I'm like, that's kind of like what we used to do. That's how it goes. So I played it kind of close to the vest, but got engaged a little bit emotionally and, whatever. And then in season 2, the first Bonfire, because the producer, the executive producer that's no longer there with us, but the executive producer said to me at one point, because I was a little bit in control of everything, he said, look, you host, I'll produce, take it easy. I'm like, cool. Again, remember, I'm like, just I'm looking at my wife saying, whatever we can do just to cash the check, get out of this. Realizing I'm not supposed to be here. And so season 2, I came in and I'm like, I'm going to be that guy. And so I just did the bonfire and not a lot was happening in the first bonfire. And I'm just asking questions. He's got an earpiece to me if he wanted to fill stuff in, but I kind of did what I thought I should be doing. And he kind of yells at me afterwards. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm being your host. I'm doing what you told me. I'm not producing. I'm being the host. And he said, I need you to do that thing you do. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had this knockdown drag out. Not really, but I kind of got a little salty. And I'm like, look, you can't tell me to do what I do and then tell me I'm talking too much and, and just host. Like, so figure it out.
Yeah.
I have 2 gauges. I'm on or off. There's like, I can't, self-edit. So you got to do it. And he said, please do you.
I love that.
Okay. I started doing me. Then by season 3 and by season 4, my executive producer and everybody was saying, we want you to really go there with them. So truthfully, I think it's too heavy. I think it should. And I literally gave myself a note for next season to frame my thoughts more in questions than in statements. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember that what you see when it's cut is the statement that came out of 20 minutes of questions.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like I go, how did that make you feel? And they watch it and I go, what I'm seeing in you is, we have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So, but they seem to have cut more of me into it this year than before, and certainly more than I'm comfortable with. I've told them all over and over again, I would much rather facilitate the conversation and then cut me out altogether. As long as I keep my job, take me out of the show. I don't get paid by the frame, and I'm not so convinced that more of me makes the show better.
Yeah.
Right. So that's always been my stance, is to be the facilitator of what we're doing. But they put more of me in it, and I'm really, really grateful. And the response from fans has been great.
Yeah.
Although I've got to let you know that I'll get 1,000 positive comments and one guy will say something shitty, and that's all I think about. So
fuck that guy.
Well, that's same with us. That's
yeah, Mark.
I really need.
You're like the star. We want you to show up more at the villas and talk to people.
Yes.
Like you would do that sometime in the early things to be like,
that,
hey guys.
You know what's interesting is it's become a lot more of me in the bonfire, and they've cut out a lot of the like mechanical stuff, the hosting stuff, like the selections and date and announcements. And I kind of dig it because it really doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Now there
except we get to see Mark.
We just want to see Mark.
Come on.
See what shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah. Or your shoes,
Yeah.
That was a personal choice. I thought it was a hustle, actually. The hustle was, I said to the producers, it'd be cool is if I subtly just wore sneakers and that was my thing. And, I think the audience would like it. It'd be relatable. But really, what I was trying to do was hustle them buying me like really good sneakers, which, kind of didn't happen. I got a couple good pair out of it, but I had to bring my own, but now I think maybe I planted the seed. If there's more seasons, I might become a thing. It was really just me trying to get swag. All that
yes.
But I tell you what I would like to do. I don't know where it fits in the show, and I've said it a few times, but I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone with the singles. Yeah. So like we have these talks with the couples, and I know that's the focus, but I think there could be some sort of conversation. I don't know where it shows up in the show, and quite honestly, I don't really think it fits in the show. But from an emotional standpoint, it'd be cool to sit with Ray Rock and say, what's going on here, or sit with, Taylor and Ash thing, talk to Taylor,
Yeah.
God, that's just for me. I just want to know.
Like YouTube episodes or podcasts or something. It would be really cool. Like we would devour that. Like we would be all about that.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah. Because so much love happens after the show, and not necessarily with the couples. It's singles meeting singles from other seasons and falling in love, and so I think I'm going to explore some of that on my podcast. The fictitious podcast I've talked about forever that hasn't happened.
You're going to do it. You're going to do it.
All up in here.
I circling back to the bonfire talk, I wanted to ask how much prep do you get going into those bonfires in terms of like, I assume maybe you're able to watch some dailies or some footage, or are they just passing notes to you, or
Did they
how
tell
does that
you
work?
anything?
During the bonfire?
No,
Like, no, do they
prior
tell
to,
you things
like for
beforehand,
preparation up
like
to the
what's
bonfire?
going on?
You know,
with the
I'm going to give
couple?
you the answer, but I can hear myself sounding like one of those actors who say I do my own stunts, because I'm not that. So it's really, I have an incredible relationship with my executive producer, Trifari. I think she is just an incredible woman and producer. And the people that work for her are in turn a reflection of who she is. So I have a lot of trust in all of them. And they in turn have been very generous with the trust in me. So on all these shows, someone high up in the story department writes a hot sheet. It's basically an update, like a newsletter that comes out every other day. That sort of goes to the network to let them know what's going on, but lets us know what's going on in brief spurts written, from one person's perspective. So I read that to get, because I don't see anything.
Okay.
And then before the bonfires, often I'll sit with Trifari and we'll just go, where's Ash? Where's Ashley? Where are they emotionally right now? What's going on? And that conversation sometimes can be in depth, but as we got further into the show and started to find our groove, it became less and less. Almost the point where I remember one bonfire, she came in and she said, I think you got this, and I'm in your ear if you're in trouble. Let's just go. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because the truth is, this may be a hustle, actually, that I'm going to say it like that it matters, but maybe it's me just skating out of having to do any homework again in my life. Because I feel like there is some value in not knowing anything, so that when I meet them at the bonfire, I'm asking questions like, okay, so where are you and what's going on? And then I get to ask the question. So as far as the clips go, I don't ever watch them beforehand, but I will be completely honest and tell you that on some of the crazier clips, I do have an idea what's coming.
I see. Yeah.
So, and in season 3, when we were all sequestered, my dressing room was attached to the edit bay. So I'd walk through it to get to the edit bay, and I'd see something like, oh, God. And who was that? And how on earth can you put that on TV? And then, of course, so
somehow it always manages to find its way onto TV. It's
imagine
wild.
that. Yeah. That's why I'd be a terrible executive producer of this show.
Because you would filter stuff out.
It would all just be people hugging.
Yes.
Oh,
you'd want to spare them.
Love.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a sweet show too. A different show, but a sweet show.
An episode.
Yeah.
And then it would be taken off of primetime and put on Twitch, or whatever there is.
A little bit before, you were talking about the things that happened with the Islanders after they leave the show, and we've heard you talking about. I think you've said to Islanders, like, I'll stay in touch. Do you stay in touch with the castmates? Like, how much do you stay in touch with them?
I think probably more than you would expect,
That's
and just shy of creepy stalker.
Oh, okay.
I follow most everybody on their social, and occasionally, messages will happen. Somebody will post and I'll make a comment and they'll comment back and we'll have a quick exchange. But there are some people that I talk to a lot, like Casey Campbell, and I talk a lot. I'm aware of Casey from season 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not we don't talk a lot, but she's doing a podcast, and she's very vocal on Twitter, and I kind of comment. But I do try to keep an open line to all of them if they're interested. And when it's really obnoxious, but like if I see somebody post something that's concerning to me, I'll hit them up like, you good?
That's so nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I think probably it may be a little bit on the line of creepy from them. Like I think I'm the one who takes it really seriously. All of them are in on the joke that they were just doing a TV show.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I think it's nice to offer them a free session, Mark. It's great.
The truth is, the only way I know how to do it, quite frankly, the only way I know how to do any show is to really buy what I'm selling. Yeah. And so for me, I am able to, or I choose to really care about all of them as soon as they sign up to do the show. And I'm really grateful that they sign up to do the show. So when the show ends, I'm not like, that was, now I drop the mask and become the real me. So, I mean, they still matter to me, and I still want to hear what's going on, and I'm concerned if things aren't going well. And, I keep my distance, I'm not trying to like hang out, it's not like, hey, I'm in town, let's hit a club. That's not really.
What are you guys doing later tonight?
Yeah. Hey, you guys want to come over?
I'm bored.
I was just going to have a barbecue. You guys want to chill at my house? It would be fine. I mean, really. No, that's not appropriate. I do try to keep a little bit of distance, but I would say that 80% of the people who've been on the show know that I'm available if they need to talk about something or whatever, help career wise, or do you know this guy like Shaquille from season 3? Remember him? Maybe you don't. Big, good-looking guy, kind of looked like Taye Diggs with muscles.
Yes.
Yep.
Just had a quick chat with him recently. He just landed a gig that was awesome, and I knew some of the people involved, and so we just kind of quick congratulations back and forth.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you follow most of the people. Who don't you follow specifically?
I was
only people that have fallen through the cracks that I didn't find them and follow them. It wasn't on purpose. It's just
okay.
There's nobody in
the
history of the cast
anyone.
that you're like. But there's nobody that in the history of the cast that you're like, I don't know if I ever want to talk to that person again.
So you
there are people in the history of the cast that would say that about me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I'm cool with all of them.
Okay.
There's at least 3 I could think of that really don't want to talk to me at all. maybe just 2. I don't know. But I will be honest and tell you the truth that I don't feel that way about anyone who's been on the show. I mean,
that's awesome.
None of them.
So you're like really, so like we watch the show, and sometimes I'm just like, this person is such a jerk, and you are so good at remaining impartial the whole time.
Yeah.
So you really are truly impartial while you're on the island and even afterwards, I'm like these people set rules. Basically, one person broke the rules. I really don't like how they treated the other person. Mark is so good about remaining impartial. You really are good about
you don't cast judgment. You don't you remain very impartial. Yeah.
I do the best I can. The truth is, I'm not entirely impartial. I'm a little bit biased towards the women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's just a dad gene. I can't stop. And
we're that way. Like we interview, like we're going to be interviewing all of the women first. Like that's kind of the way that we like to handle things. Like we're that way first.
Yeah. That said, I mean, there are women who've been on the show that I've been rough with. The roughest was Casey Campbell in season 1. I just completely went after her, and then realized that, even though she presented to me as kind of crazy, it's good crazy, and she's a good girl, and I was quick to judge a situation from what I saw. But thank you for saying it appears that I'm impartial. I don't judge their behavior. Mm-hmm. It may be judgment. Let me be clear. If you're behaving in a way that could bring judgment, but the person doing it is grappling or hasn't grown enough to understand, or I can be cool with that. What I'm not cool with, and my ears kind of, the hair on the back of my neck stands up, is when I feel like you're manipulating and not being honest consciously.
Yeah. So
like, I remember calling Kendall out saying, look, I hear what you're saying and I see what you're doing. I said this to David too. And it's not reconciling for me.
Yeah.
I don't have any judgment of sexuality at the pace at which you want to have sex and how many people at a time or what gender. I don't give a shit about any of that. That's yours to pick. But I do care about, are you just hooking up and are you saying one thing and doing something else consciously, manipulating, and if that's the case, I got to call it out. But other than that, I don't have a judgment. And I think I made it really clear how I feel about people's rules and stuff. I think the rules don't apply. I mean, I think the rules are looking at this game as though it's a game, and it's really not a game. And the rules are bound to change as you change. So I really try to stay impartial. I have also learned from this generation that is tired of shaming in all possible ways.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I grew up in this is right, this is wrong, and if you did the wrong thing, you got shamed for it. And that's not accurate, nor is it fair, especially on a show that has asked you to come here and act out.
Sure. Yeah.
So what I'm constantly doing is just trying to say, all right, whatever it is, Ashley Golden from season 2, when she and KB hooked up like on the first night, I could have easily said, what the fuck? And I think I did. But then I'm like, okay, so this could be a manifestation of the pain you had from previous relationships. And let's look at it from that place and see what we can learn from this, rather than making a call on whether it was right or wrong. Because the fact of the matter is, you only say it's right or wrong if you're keeping score, and you only keep score if it's a game and it's not.
Yes.
There's nothing to win, and there's no reason to keep score.
Yeah.
Right.
And a little empathy goes a long way too. It's going to be hard for people to grow as a person when all you're doing is condemning them all the time. Yeah.
That their reaction or their feelings are wrong.
Yeah.
And it's really, and that's what makes these shows watchable, is that we get to sit at home and make those judgments. Right. But
it's part of the fun, Mark. It's fun to judge these people.
It's really a pastime for most of America.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say that the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
Oh, that's disgusting.
And I just the jokes I can't make because I'm going to get canceled.
Yeah, I know.
So what I feel like is the best use of me and this thing is to, in any situation when behavior happens that could be judged, is to ask what the behavior is about, what's behind it. Like, what's it look, we take a slice of any of us. Like, if we take any one day out of any of our lives, it could be really terrible.
Yeah, definitely.
We've all made some bad choices, right?
Yep.
What's important is why. What are those bad choices? And on two sides of it, why did you? No, not bad choices. Why did you make the choice? And on the other side, the person witnessing the choice, what are you saying that choice means about you? Because it may not mean anything about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was saying at one point, is that Edgar having sex with somebody else when he was dating Jillian, we call that cheating, but cheating sounds like the rules, the word you use in a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You broke the rules, and therefore, and okay, I'm not condoning cheating, but what I would say to, and may have said to Jillian, is his cheating may or may not have had anything to do with you, but has to do with what he's missing in his life, or what his mistakes are, or what the action came from something. But we look at it as, he did this to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it feels that way, and that's legit. But I'm constantly trying to say, what's the motivation behind the behavior, so that at least we can learn. You're not going to slap somebody's hand and say, don't do that again, and that's going to fix it. Better is to say, why do you think you did that? Right. And then figure it out.
And yeah, maybe it's more Jillian's place to be hashing that out with him, but
no, I think it's Jillian's place to hash out what it means to her.
Of course. Yeah.
What has she made the cheating mean to her?
Yes.
And if it's a deal breaker, then it's time to go, as it would be for most people. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if the cheating happened and then it didn't happen, and a year or two goes by and you chose to stay there, at some point, there's got to be some acceptance on both sides, right? But the truth is, that's also bullshit, because the pain, I mean, we try to do what we can to resolve the pain, but it doesn't take much to make the pain happen again, right? And so that's why you constantly live in fear of it happening again. But I just getting back to the judgment thing. I think if any of us, it's the same thing I said on Russian Roulette, not Russian Roulette, Moment of Truth, the show I did with a lie detector. It's like, unfortunately for us, the truth is very subjective.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The truth of, there's what happened, and there's what we think happened.
Mm-hmm.
And judging that is really not a really good exercise.
What were your thoughts
I can feel the judgment of your listeners of me right now.
No way. Our listeners.
No way.
What were your thoughts on Lascelles this season and how he handled everything? Because he was a really different type of character than what we are used to seeing on anything. I've never seen a person like this in my life. Just the way
I have.
Have you? Okay.
Sure.
He's a foot in the mouther.
Well, no, I don't think that. I don't think he's. Well, yeah, that may be the outcome sometimes.
Well,
Yes.
part of it is the.
Right,
Well,
right,
that's
right.
what I want your take on Lascelles. What's your take on him?
Well, I've been really kind of reflecting on it actually because it comes up a lot in interviews and stuff like that. And I think Lascelles is a good guy with a lot to learn, who is dancing as fast as he can to justify a position he is yet to form.
Mm-hmm.
So let me clarify. Do I think he's a premeditated player who's manipulating women to get what he wants? I don't get that vibe at all. Do I get that he's a relatively emotionally young person, which makes sense being in the same relationship for 7 years, who gets caught up in every moment, right?
Sure.
And in that moment feels something and says it and it happens because the words come out a lot.
Yeah.
Without self-reflection. That's probably more of what my experience of Lascelles is. I don't get 1 ounce of malicious, mean, hurtful behavior. I do get somewhat, I would say, rash. Rash is not the word. Impulsive.
Yes, very.
Word salad.
Yes.
That's well meant in the moment. That I think he believes in the moment.
Well,
but
now that
there's some growth that has to happen because even as he's being called on it in the reunion show, he appears to be dancing as fast as he can to just say things. And I'm not saying that he's like a manipulator trying to come up with stuff to make him okay. I really think he's just not clear. So when he says stuff like, one last thing I want to say is, Alexa, I can never trust you again.
Can he ever earn back her trust, Mark? Can he?
Well, I mean, and I said it to him. I'm like, Lascelles, that's conspiring to keep a secret. That's not.
That's such a great moment in the reunion. It was.
But
so
I don't think he sees that. For instance, in that exact same exchange, the kissing thing. Yeah. He could have said, we were all drunk, we're on the dance floor. She said, I want to kiss you right now. And I kissed her. It didn't mean much more than that because the truth is, I believe that shit happens all the time. Yeah. You're out, you're partying, you're getting crazy. Girls do it for jokes, right? Just in the moment, right? So it wasn't like a hookup. It was like a dance floor kiss. And I think it would have taken a lot of the edge out of it. We just said, yeah, I did.
Yeah. It just got worse and worse and worse. Each excuse.
But let me be clear.
But it was great TV, Mark. It was great TV.
Okay.
Yeah, good job, Mark.
I don't see Lascelles as a bad guy. I see him as a young guy. I see a guy who he's not young physically or intellectually. He's not a dumb guy. He's a smart guy. Yeah. He's been in a relationship for 7 years and still lives at home, from what I understand. And there's a lot of life experience that he just hasn't had. And so you look at him as an adult in this level, when in fact, his interpersonal relationships may be more like what we were doing in junior high. Right? Yeah. I don't mean that as a slam. Yeah. Well, I just mean in junior high, with Robin Permenter, who was the guidance council helper next to me in third period, would give me a wink. I'd be in love by fourth period. Like, I love you. I'm ready to say it. Right? And it was real for me. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. By the way, Ron Permenter, I still love you.
We'll make sure to get that message to her. Yeah.
Oh, she knows. The point is, we can't project on him what he's supposed to know. Mm-hmm. Right? We all have paths and learn. We have blind spots. Yeah. Like, he knows more about fitness than I'll ever know. He's really clear. Yeah. And really good. Yeah. And maybe in business, like Luke is a real good investment guy, I guess. Mm-hmm. And which I'm not good at either of those things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to dating and caring about women and having an involved and emotionally intelligent relationship with a significant other, there's a lot to be learned by all of us. And we saw it with Lacelles, and I don't judge him for that. He's going to look at this at some day and look at it and go, wow, boy, there was a lot I didn't know then.
So because now that we know that you weren't watching the dailies, I'm just like trying to figure out how your executive producer
I love that you think there's dailies.
Well, I want to know why how your executive producer was able to articulate just how Lacelles was doing in the house with Trace, because I imagine that may have been kind of difficult.
Well, you get a hot sheet saying, there was a party, and in the party he stood up and said, I love you and I only want to date you. And you read that and go, okay, all right, Lacelles, that's a little quick with the I love you, but sometimes it happens, right? But then I get really like concerned for Trace. I'm like going, oh boy, and so that's when I go into the bonfire, not with any predisclosed sort of concept of what I want to say, but I want to make sure that, and I miss it, by the way, and the fans let me know, I miss moments left and right. There are things that I don't call out, like Edgar was having his moment, and I should have said to Jillian, but what happened in the shower? And I didn't say it then because I was worried about Jillian's feelings right then, right?
Yeah.
But I also don't react to what I read, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like from a TV standpoint, it's like, oh, they had sex. And we're like, oh, we got a show. It's all good. Yeah. And it doesn't work for me. I mean, good. You guys make the show. That's why you guys make the show. I'm going to really stay with, is everybody, is anyone getting hurt? And let's talk about that. I'm not afraid of people getting hurt, but I do want to be able to process that to some degree. So, everything that happens to us could happen for us if we look at it that way. And I kind of want to drive that bus,
sure,
the bus that may have just driven over you. I want to drive the bus to say, all right, what can we learn from this? And put it in some sort of perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach.
Well, again, it goes back to, I really care about the well-being of these people once they leave.
Yeah.
And while they're there, it's not for sport. And there's no part of it for me where I'm going, ooh, it's delicious. That the stuff that people love on TV, like the reunion, I can't fucking stand the reunion shows.
Yeah.
It's a lot of personalities in one room. And the first reunion I did was season 2. And it was the first reunion I'd seen because I didn't watch any Real Housewives or any of that. And so every time it started to get like heated, and it got heated, I'm like, everybody, time out. And in my earpiece, they're like, what the fuck? Let it happen. This is the good stuff. I'm like, this is not healthy. Ashley, you sit down and put your earrings back on. They're not going to fight right now. But I think there's a balance. I think people want to hear that too. So, I think in this last reunion, I let things go more than I have in the past without interjecting and making it hell for the editors.
Do you think, did Jillian wish you had asked about the shower scene? Because she got like flack about that online and stuff. People were like, oh, well, you did the same thing, blah, blah, blah.
Well, she said she didn't.
Yeah, she said she didn't do the same thing.
She didn't.
So, if that question had been asked, do you think maybe that could have cleared that up?
I think it came up and may not have made the cut because of the context or whatever. But yeah, I don't think she wanted to be called on the carpet about that. I think she had a very good answer to it. It's like, look, we saw you in the shower. And she's like, yeah, but I didn't do. But that goes back to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really. To me, that's like. To me, that's like a. And I love Jillian, but to me, it's like, if we go back to the rules, we had the rules. I always say the rules are like, your mom says you are not to leave this couch today. So you take the pillow from the couch into the backyard and say, I didn't leave the couch. You're sitting on the pillow that you dragged with you out into the yard, right?
Sure.
You didn't break the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You create pillow walls.
Right. Well, that's the thing. My point is, I was in the shower, we were making out, we were naked, and we were rubbing against each other, but we didn't have sex. Well, that's why I say, and I honor that. I get it. That's some control, but the point of having the rules was so that you didn't hurt the other person. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And so just because the P didn't go into the V doesn't mean that pain didn't happen.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I'm kind of like, that's a little semantic bullshit, and not her bullshit, but it happens to everybody. It's a semantic to say, we kissed, but we didn't do this, we did that. To me, I know if I kiss someone, my wife would lose it. For some people, kissing is much more intimate than other things, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd feel if I saw my wife staring intimately into the eyes of someone else.
Yeah.
Same way that Jillian shared, hearing him say princessa to someone else hurt her like a knife. Same way the promise ring thing hurt him, right?
Yeah.
But I always say, what did you see? And that's a perfect example, because what I saw was her a little tipsy and joking about the fact that we're single again. Does that mean I'm supposed to take this off? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was innocuous to me, but not to Edgar.
Right.
And okay, dude, that's exactly why the rules don't work, because what hurts you hurts you. What you interpret things to be is what you interpret them to be.
Yeah.
Have I made this the most boring?
No, I'm fascinated.
No, it's fascinated.
If we're quiet, it's because we're listening.
No, it's like
we're really
no one else is in the room because I'm just rambling to myself in my computer.
No, we're all about it.
What happened with Edgar telling Jillian that he was going to leave the island alone? Because we were kind of confused about this whole thing, and I haven't been able to see anything like online about.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. It happened as you saw it. It's like a second thought, I'd like to do this. And my gut was Marissa should have a say in this at some point anyway.
Of course.
But in hindsight, what might have been a strong play and certainly watchable would have been to let him do that. And then say, and now I think you need to honor Jillian by telling her the truth and bring her back, not with Marissa there, although they would have wanted that, and say, I've changed my mind. I'm leaving with Marissa. It would have been more in line with what the rules of the show, or what I laid out. The Bonfire.
He thought that he was leaving alone, and then he decided he was leaving with Marissa.
I think that's kind of how it went down.
Okay, because it seems
really
like he was lying to Jillian potentially.
It seemed like he was kind of scared to say it in front of Jillian. Okay.
I don't think I don't think he was lying to Jillian.
It was hard to tell. It was just hard to tell in the moment.
And with the edit, I can't tell, and I don't really remember because you're so in it. I got to be honest with you. Every bonfire I do, and I'm in it, and then I leave the bonfire a little bit in a funk, and then my wife, who's in the control room, comes out and says, nice things to me, because she loves me.
That's sweet.
And
she watches every bonfire. That's
awesome.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, no, and I need her to, because she's the only one who knows my bullshit. So she's the only one who would say, you missed this point, or you're really on there, or you know what I mean? Because we talk like that all the time.
That's amazing.
That's nice.
But then what happens is we go back to our room, and it's late, and she goes to sleep, and then I'm laying in bed till 3 a.m. trying to remember what went down. And then you know how you're sitting on your couch and you're watching TV, and all of a sudden you remember like an embarrassing thing from 6th grade, and you go, oh,
right. Yeah.
That's what the experience is for me after the bonfire. That I'm saying, what did I say? And what did I miss? And then, so the point is, in the bonfire itself, I can't tell you. I can't remember.
Yeah.
We're in it. It's a conversation. I just don't really remember.
But do you remember
how on the show, it would have been an interesting beat to say, I understand you had a change of heart. There's no rules here. If that's how you feel, you can leave with Marissa and you can have that conversation. I feel it would be disingenuous if you left the island telling her one thing and doing something different. And that could have been a producer call, but that's my mistake. I could have made that call right there, and I didn't.
Sure. Do you remember how quickly after Jillian had left that Edgar had changed his mind?
Almost like you saw it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing.
And it's really tough because we do I'm trying to remember. Robbie, did we do all of the bonfires in one night? So all the final bonfires were in one night.
Wow.
Okay.
And so it's a long night for me. All the bonfire nights are a really long night for me.
Yeah.
So
I bet that's exhausting.
You get a little battle fatigue at some point.
Yeah.
So sure. I admit, I feel like there was a way that I feel like there was a way to have handled that bonfire a little bit differently that would have been incredibly watchable and also responsible. And so I'll try better next season.
Well, you're doing a great
We
job,
think you're
Mark.
perfect just the way you are.
Thank you, boys.
That was not a criticism, Mark.
Thank you.
I love that you're always looking for ways for yourself to grow, though. I think that's amazing.
Come on.
That's fantastic.
You know,
practice what you
come
preach.
on.
Yes.
What is ironic to me or interesting to me is that people have been so sweet to say, I get all these messages, you should be my therapist and everything. But on my end, like, I need to make it so very clear that, look, I'm a TV show host. And I say that to them. I'm like, at the very beginning, I'm like, look, I host game shows, right? That's what I do for a living. Now, my life has not been my job. Like, my job is my job. My life has been much thicker than that with my wife and my kids and my family and life and the work that I've done as my wife and I have tried to remain sane through the raising of children and marriage, which I think we've done maybe 70% sanity, 30% insanity, which is a really good margin.
That's great. Yeah.
But I try to make it clear that, look, my advice is worth exactly what they paid for it. And they didn't pay anything. So I'm really not trying to pretend to be anything I'm not. And I want to make that clear to everybody that, they're calling me to do this. The show's calling me to do this, as are the people who are on it. And I do have an opinion and a thought from my life experience, but like the same way that I approach coaching from others is when I get coached or advice or therapy, I look at it. This is a phrase I once heard in one of these workshops, is that consider it an old jacket, and you put it on, and if it fits, wear it. And if it doesn't, take it off. Right. And I think I say that to them sometimes. If what I'm saying works for you, cool. And the parts that don't work for you, don't give them any credence. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's really a strange experience. I never expected this to be a thing.
Did you feel competitive with Karina because she was a real therapist?
I felt, we correspond quite a bit since the show. Because she just became a licensed LMFT, licensed
awesome.
LFM, marriage and family therapist, licensed marriage and family therapist.
Oh, so you're in the same field now.
No, I made very clear that I was like, congratulations. And so I actually connected with her, not so much on the island, but since, because she'll post stuff and I'll like it and say, well, that's a really good nugget, or I'll post something and then she'll like it. And then I feel validated.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of respect for her, because even in her, she's still a Temptation Island hot girl, right? But her relationship, there were a lot of really, really, really brilliant things that came out of her mouth. And I thought that she was really an incredible voice to have on the show. And when she and I have had a chance to chat, and she said, what you said was like at the reunion, that was good. And I would say, thank you. And it was just, look, she has training, and I have respect for that. And so we have a little connection. I like her very much.
How surprised were you by Anya this season? Because when he was cast and he was the one who proposed the open relationship, I thought he was going to be the archetype that was going to be sleeping with everyone, like a Kendall, or he was going to be the Evan and was going to break the relationship first and was going to be immediately sleeping around. But he didn't. Did that surprise you? Or it didn't?
No. I got to read on Hanya right off the bat that I felt pretty comfortable with, and still feel comfortable with. I think that he is a guy grappling with some really big questions. We're entirely different people, but he's a seeker, right? And he is obviously very intelligent, and with intelligence sometimes becomes the ability to manipulate others, right? And I think what he saw in himself was those things he thought beforehand were good ideas, like an open relationship, and how he was selling this idea in this wholesome, healthy way, he was realizing was subconsciously a manipulation and not what he actually wanted, but it was him trying to get what he thought he wanted, everything, have the cake and eat it too kind of thing. And I saw him come to that, but I kind of got a read on who he was right off the bat. And like, I think I know this guy. And I have a lot of love for Anya. I think he, like me, can overthink, and he's also he appears to me to be very aware that where he lives and other people's opinions of him, and that matters, as all of us do. I mean, I'm not saying anything about him that I wouldn't say about myself. So I was not surprised at all. But I was kind of interested that he was so willing to, verbalize when he was out of line, verbalize the things he was learning about himself that he didn't like, to the point where at some point offline, just like internet wise, I don't want to break any trust, I had to say, I want to remind you that you have maybe made some bad choices, but you're not a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a bad person, man. You're just trying to figure it out. You're a good guy, actually. You want to be a good guy, which is better than most bad guys are. You know?
Yeah.
So I was not surprised by him. And I don't know how he feels about me, but I would tell him, if he's watching, that I am an open phone call for him at any time.
That's nice.
I have plenty of time for him.
You heard it here, Anya. Call Mark.
Call Mark, Anya.
He doesn't need me. There's nothing I can provide him, but I just want to make sure that we're clear, all of you, that quite frankly, I would say that for nearly everyone who's been on the show, that I 100% support you. 100% support you in being happy in the future. It's what I say to them at the beginning.
That's really nice.
My commitment to them is to be an advocate for this experience, to leave them in a better place than they came.
Okay, you said nearly everyone. So who are the people that you don't support? I'm just kidding.
I just said nearly everyone, so I didn't speak in absolutes. And if there were a congressional or Senate hearing, I would say I do not recall.
That's a good answer.
Got you, Mark.
That's a good answer.
All right, so far you've had a perfect read on everything this season. What did shock you, Mark? What shocked you this season? What knocked you off your feet?
I maybe it's that I have been shocked so much that I don't get shocked. Like, so for instance, to give you an idea, the first time there was a threesome, I was shocked. Now I'm like, when's the threesome happening? And
You're just expecting it now.
Yeah.
Robbie, I love this. We're having this conversation.
What's that?
My wife is like in the laundry room.
Yeah.
And I just hear her go, Ashley and KB.
Yeah.
That was shocking.
That was a shocking one.
And then, I love both of them too. And I've seen them in public separately and together, not together, but all of us in the same room together, like at a bar or a club. And you got to know that KB is ominous. He's huge.
Yeah.
Right. And I forgot what I said about him. It wasn't even that derogatory.
Yeah.
And I walked to the bar and he walked right up to me and says, Mark, how come he like came at me? There was a smile, but he came at me.
Yeah.
And I literally had to stand my ground and said, look, I said it with my chest. What do you want from me? And then we hugged it out. And he gave me a t-shirt that I wore for softball last night. So
that's fantastic. I love it.
That was shocking. I'm like, day one? And the things they said, can I touch your penis now? I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think that's a worthy reaction.
But then, I mean, that was several seasons ago, and now I'm like,
okay, but what about these proposals that happen? Like,
not shocked, but occasionally, maybe I'm an eye roll emoji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever want to say, please put the ring away? Do you ever, like when Anya pulled it out?
Well,
when Casey from last season
when you know they're walking into a sucker punch.
Yeah.
This is why I would not be a good producer.
like the baby, I want to make you the baby
Yeah,
thing.
I would have said, honey.
Yeah.
Do you ever almost laugh like we do, or are you just a good soul, Mark?
If I laugh, it's later when it's airing.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a perfect example.
Okay.
So I have a 26-year-old daughter who is really incredible. She's almost, no, let's not say that, honey. It makes me much older. Her birthday's coming up, so she's almost 27. Anyway, so the first reunion show, Robbie was out of town. So she wasn't there with me, my wife.
Yeah.
And normally she's at tapings when I do tapings. So I can, like, in a break, go up to her and say, am I blowing it? And then she'll lie to me and say, no, you're doing great. But I shot this thing without anybody. I had to be a grown-up. And it was really messy with Ashley and the two Ashleys and Kate and David and Casey didn't show up and just all kinds of stuff. And I had never done a reunion show. So it finished and we started early. It went just till like 2 a.m. And so I'm out in the parking lot. And I remember just leaving, still wearing my suit and my makeup. I'm just like, I just want to go home. And I literally said to the producer, and I said to Robbie in the car, I've never said this in my career. I mean, some shows I've done well and some shows I've done bad, but I failed. I straight up failed. This was more than I can handle. I didn't handle it well. I wasn't prepared. This episode is unairable. And lives were crushed, right? That's where I was at. So Goldie, my daughter, FaceTimed with me, or I texted her and said, I completely, screwed the pooch on this one. And then she sent me a picture from Instagram, which was everybody who was in the reunion at the club together having a blast. And she's like, Dad, you have got to chill.
You're in your own head.
I'm sitting in a fetal position at home going, I have ruined lives.
Oh, man.
Right? So, and it has informed me to realize that the people who go on the show are mature adults and have a lifestyle that is somewhat foreign to me, but I can dig it.
Sure.
And so,
this cast seems very friendly with each other right now.
Me?
I said this cast seems very friendly with each other from what I can tell. Yeah.
I think what ends up happening at the end of the day is that there's a shared experience. It's like they've been to battle together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that transcends. And I even say during the show, on and off camera, there are relationships that are going to happen that are far beyond love relationships that you don't even realize the benefit of why you're here yet on a spiritual level, like for real. Like, I don't know why I'm here, but it'll be revealed. I happen to believe that. And so you see so many friendships like Ash and Brianna. Brianna, the single from this past season, who didn't get a lot of story. She was eliminated early. Apparently, I just messaged with them. I saw a picture and I sent a heart emoji or something. And I have to be careful which hearts I send because apparently some of them are creepy and some of them are friendly, and depending on the color and size of the heart. So I think I sent a.
Is that true?
I don't know. I sent maybe purple triple hearts, which I felt was appropriate. I don't know.
These Zoomers can't keep getting away with it. They can't keep changing the rules.
I know. Where's that hot sheet?
Yeah, I know.
But Brianna says, I'm so grateful for the show for finding me my best friend. I think I can say that. And so she and Ash are like pals. So, okay, that worked for me,
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have a question. What were the doors like at the villas? Because there was a lot of talk about the doors in the show, right, Max?
Here's Edgar talking about it.
Yeah.
Look at this door. Wait a minute. Look at the door.
Edgar really fell in love with the door in the first episode. Did you get a good look at the door frame, Mark?
I don't know that I even have any idea what that refers to.
Okay.
I mean, the houses are great. Maybe architecturally, there are some really great doors.
Maybe you have to be an optometrist to understand the
I
doors.
really don't know. Maybe it had something to do with what can happen behind them.
Sure.
That's some good insight.
I mean, the houses are pretty amazing, and
yeah.
and I would like to live in either of them.
Mark, do you ever feel like you're missing out by not getting to go to some of these parties, like the Bubbles and Bow Ties parties? Do you ever feel like you're missing out?
You're really tapping into perceptively my chronic FOMO.
Yes.
Really bad. That said, no desire to go to those parties.
None of the chocolate parties or the
First
anything
of
but
all-
clothes parties.
First of all,
You've never wanted a lap dance for the soul, Mark?
I'm not opposed to a lap dance. I like flirty, sexy. That's cute. But the chocolate and the cream cheese and
It's messy.
No. But those are not.
And then you can't even go.
Have,
And then you can't even go shower it off by yourself because
No,
the
you
whole
gotta
group
do a
is going to
group
be in
shower.
there.
all I'm thinking of it, I feel sticky and dirty. It's just not sexy to me. So no, I don't have FOMO about those parties.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, those parties would always make me uncomfortable anyway.
Yeah.
My FOMO shows up with like, we have this incredible staff and crew, like 170 people. All of them young, hip, gorgeous, great people. So I get a little bummed when I hear that they were partying until 3 a.m. on a day off and I wasn't invited or I didn't go. And it's inappropriate for me to have been there. But I'm kind of like, where are you guys hanging out? Are you guys hanging out at the pool tomorrow? Or are you going to get rid of it? I was like, dude, you're like,
What's happening, fellow kids?
you're like a chaperone. So, you know? And my wife is entirely different. Like, she is not FOMO. She's like when we went on a cruise, I want to sit at the pool where everything's going on. The band's playing and the games are happening, and my elbows are touching the two, retired couple next to me who are on the cruise. And Robbie wants to find the one deck that has no one on it.
Yeah.
Private, with one waiter to bring only one drink and don't tell anyone. And I got to be honest with you, if I were to judge what's healthier, I think she's far healthier than I am. I'm so afraid something's going to happen that I'll miss. And virtually nothing happens except me standing around wondering, if there's another place I should be. It's not good. But no, I don't want to go to those. I don't want to ever go to anything but clothes party of any kind.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, you know the show Naked and Afraid?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to be on Afraid to be Naked.
That's a good show. I'd watch that show.
Afraid to be Naked?
You got to pitch that. You got to pitch it.
We had a
There's
listener.
a lot of middle-aged people with issues.
Yes.
We had one listener question, Mark, real quick. I just wanted to ask you about.
You had one listener and a question, or you had one listener question?
One listener question.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, we have a few. We have like 2 listeners, so it's okay.
I feel like they're atrophy.
My wife and Max's girlfriend.
Yes. So we saw on the reunion that Lacelles was trying to hide his relationship with Trace at first, but it was edited a little confusingly. So was he trying to completely hide his relationship with Trace from the cameras at first? Is that what was happening?
Beats me.
Oh, okay.
I didn't pick that up, and that doesn't mean it wasn't true.
Gotcha.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I think at the I think at the beginning, there was a moment where he was into Trace, but he was saying to Trace, look, I want to play the field a little bit here before I commit to anybody.
Yeah.
I feel like, at the beginning, he was handling things more like job interviews than it was about connection.
I see.
So I don't know if he was saying things to her and then trying to keep that under a hat so that he could still keep possibility open with the other girls. I don't know. And quite honestly, in his defense, I don't know how I would be if I were in that situation. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And were there any couples that you thought were going to make it to a proposal at the end, or you thought were going to leave the island together but didn't? Or do you just go in thinking, well, I don't know what's going to happen? Like, did you have a good...
Season 1, I thought I knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're never going to... Like, I said that they weren't season 1, maybe they were season 2. Shari and Javen.
Mm-hmm.
I said within an hour of meeting them, they're never going to make it. And then they ended up engaged and are still together. And then I realized, like before this season started, I said, maybe the reason why I'm terrible at predicting is that who they are coming in is not who they are at the end. You know,
Sure.
so whatever vibe they're giving me as a couple, which is so intertwined and often a little bit, you know, not firing on all the pistons, right? Is not who they become when they get a sense of individuality again. They become a part of themselves separate from the couple. You know, there's Robbie, there's Mark, and then there's Robbie and Mark. And Robbie and Mark is much bigger than Robbie and Mark. And the more that we're Robbie and Mark, the less Robbie and less Mark exists.
Sure.
Right. And part of a marriage is to make sure that we're letting Robbie be Robbie and Mark be Mark, and also still being us.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I don't predict very well, is because who they are at the end is not who they are at the beginning. So I stopped trying.
Makes sense.
It's very deep.
Although I really had hoped for Jillian, you know, that Julian and Kristen from season 3.
Yes.
I, on the beach, wasn't sure that I trusted or liked Julian. Mostly because he was ominously large. Like, he looked like the dude that would bully me. But he was, of all the seasons, the most Mark helped me. The
He
most
really was.
guy of, look, help me learn here. And so very quickly I realized that I was rooting for them to stay together, as I think most people were. And they get married on July 24th.
I know. I was really rooting for them the whole time, and when they made it work, it was pretty amazing.
And then, I mean, it's just such a story because he had played football, but that time of his life appeared to be over. And then the USFL started up, and he got drafted, and he had 63 yards in pass receiving yards last week.
It's incredible. Because
I watched.
So this season, you didn't have any predictions for any of the couples going into it?
Let me think about it. I think if I had to call the ball, I would have thought that Luke and Iris would have.
It was feeling like it pretty early on. We were like first episode, like, Luke and Iris.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit more on the nose. I had no idea what would happen with Anya and Ash.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the beginning, my first impressions were that Ash, you know, that Hanya was true and Ash was being squirrely. But then as I got into it, I realized that, you know, that wasn't the case necessarily.
Sure.
And grew to really love Ash. And then I had hopes for Ashley and Lacelles because of that first dinner when Ashley really was kind of broke down emotionally and he kind of got it. I said, okay, all right, you do.
Yeah.
But then we see where that went. And then to be honest with you, Jillian and Edgar, I loved their love. I loved how young and notebooky it was, you know?
Yeah. They're
but
cute. Yeah.
The cynic in me and the older guy in me said, boy, first love's really hard to make that happen. You could not deny in the first meeting that she's 21 years old, just graduated college, and the world is her oyster. And how do you hit your card up right then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Now there are people I know in my life who've done that and
who do it,
their life together.
Yep.
But
what did you think about we saw a really interesting scene with Iris and George where Iris basically told him, like, you are someone that I feel like I legitimately want to date, you know, and not only that, but like you have all these qualities that I see in someone I would want to be my husband, but she puts a kibosh on it and it's like, no, we're done. Like I can't keep going down this road because I'm feeling things on a emotional level that I feel is disrespectful to the relationship that I have right now. What was your take on that? Because I felt like Iris throughout the entire season was had some very mature and measured responses to a lot of things that happened.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways to spin that. I would ask you, what did you think?
I felt like it was a really mature thing to do. I don't know if maybe it went along with the show's theme as much of trying to find yourself nearly as much. So
what I like about the show is there's no rules to it.
Yeah.
It is whatever you want it to be. Mm-hmm. So there is one school of thought that is, if you're feeling it, you need to go with it. And maybe that's the real thing. there's another school of thought that is realistic to realize that if we want to feel something like crush, like that feeling, it's always out there.
Yeah.
But it's in those moments where you have to remember things that are of value. So for instance, you know, if Robbie goes out and sees a show and there's somebody that's like, you know, it's too easy to have a crush, right? And even in this situation where it's what the experience is, I can also say that there's something to be said for going, wow, I'm really, really feeling something here, but I really love Luke, and I'm really committed to making that work. That's Temptation Island. So it's you know, I can see both sides. If you were really unsure of whether you love the person that you came to the island with, and this guy's giving you all the things that you didn't get, maybe you go and indulge that. But if it's so close that it scares you, you're going to lose the thing that matters, then I like putting the brakes on.
Yeah.
Because there will always be somebody that looks better than the person you're with. Because discontent is a human condition to keep, you know, being discontent is a human condition. It's not even real. It's just antsy is antsy for the sake of antsy, you know, because our ego takes over and, you know, somebody hot likes you and you're like, well, okay, maybe I'm measuring all the time measuring. And it's in those moments you got to say, well, hold on a second. Is the potential of better than good? And is it even better? I said to somebody on the court who was going on the basketball court, who was going through something. And I said to him, the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence. It's just a different color.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like your problems will be answered. No. Some of those things will be different, but you'll find new shit you didn't even know. Right? That you're trading one crazy for another crazy. We all are crazy, so find crazy you dig and stick with it. It's not greener grass as opposed to comparing to the grass that you have. It's different. It's not even grass. It's a different ground cover with its own stuff that you don't even know what you're allergic to yet. Boy, did I just belabor that metaphor. I think you get what I'm saying.
I think I get it.
Yeah.
My job is to confuse you into thinking I know what I'm saying.
Yes.
I just think, look, if you want to believe that something's better, you'll believe it, and then you'll discover the truth later. And then there is some maturity to say, wow, I'm really being swept up right now by a guy who appears to be really great, but I don't want to forget the guy that I came here with that's really great, that I know is really great.
I wasn't really feeling it between her and George. I thought that it would have gone maybe 2 or more dates anyway, but I wasn't seeing like a lot of chemistry. He was so different than Luke, and I feel like maybe she liked that Luke was so different than her, and maybe he was more like exciting than George was.
Sure.
Maybe George was good on paper, but I think Luke is so different than her that it's kind of like that opposites attract type thing kind of was the vibe that I get.
She was getting pretty emotional about it though on camera.
Who? George?
Iris was talking about. Yeah.
And George is a great guy.
Yeah, I like George. I just wasn't seeing I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't getting it.
Yeah, look.
But he can cook, Max.
Yeah.
He can cook really well. Okay, that's a huge thing. Come on.
That'll get you through a lot of bad times. A good meal gets you through a lot of bad times. I think what we're saying, or at least my feeling is that love is really difficult to put into a box.
Yeah.
And it is so personal, like the flavor is so personal to each person that you just can't say this would have been better if I did that, or that would have been better if I did this. There's just no way to know. And it's really the only thing that gets us into a healthy relationship is, in my opinion, is getting clearly in love with yourself and staying on your side of the street. Because the more that you don't get triggered by others' behavior, don't project on other people the problems that you're feeling or how you're feeling, because it may not feelings just aren't very real.
Yeah.
And so it's the quote I said in the show that Robbie fed me from Ram Dass, which was, the only thing I can do for you is work on me, and the only thing you can do for me is work on you.
Yep. I think that's great.
Did she feed that to you through the earpiece?
No.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have earpiece access.
You're
God
doing
knows
great,
she'd love to
Mark.
have
Mark, that was so good. Mark, that sucked. Mark, that was so good.
No, we talk about everything all the time. And that may have been a statement she said to me that had nothing to do with the show that was said to me. And she read it to me just because. And then I remembered it to use it on the show. She's really funny, man. I told her when we first started the show, I said, look, she's like, where can I watch the Bonfire? And the first year she watched it in a lawn chair with the makeup artist and the wardrobe stylist. And they sit on the grass trying to hear it from like street theater. And then as we went into season 3, she started watching it in the control room. And I said, look, here's the deal. You can sit in the control room, but you have to be invisible because in production, all the producers are in there and it's a show and it's going on and they're going to say shit about me and they're allowed to, because you talk shit about the host because they're talented and stupid a lot. And they get to do that. And you can't be the one that they have to watch the words about. So you just got to be invisible. She said, no problem, no problem. And so the first season, she's like in the corner, very quiet. I walked into the booth this year and she's sitting with the executive in charge of production and another producer. They've given her a monitor with a quad split so she can flip between cameras. Got a headphone.
That's amazing.
She's talking to producers I don't even know. She's like completely in it, right?
That's awesome.
It's so awesome.
She's like working a
I
mixer.
love this.
I come out of the Bonfire and I'm walking down the beach or wherever I am.
Yes.
And I've got my people with me and it's real quiet because as soon as the Bonfire's over, all the people in the Bonfire are doing interviews at different locations. So you got to kind of keep it down. And then I'm walking, this is season 3 actually, but I'm walking back to the control room area and I'm in a funk because I'm still in it. And she comes out of the control room. She bursts out of the control room and she throws her arms in the air and she yells, masterpiece.
Yes.
I'm like, honey,
that's
remember
what you want to
that?
hear. Yeah.
Invisible in the booth. She's like literally saying to the psychologist there, you need to go out and talk to her right now. She's in a lot of pain. I'm like, Robbie, you have got to just.
You should have seen the number Mark just did on this one. She's got to send a psychologist.
Like Erica and Kendall, after the final Bonfire, we're not supposed to talk to them at all, right? Like it's like you're not supposed to. And so Erica's doing an interview over in the corner, and I said to Robbie's like, I got to talk to her. I'm like,
What?
You may not. And then I turn around and talk to somebody else, and Robbie's gone. And she goes to Erica, and then the camera guy conspires with her and closes the lens, right? So that nobody can see it. And then
amazing.
Robbie gives Erica her home phone number. Says, you text me anytime you want, girl. So
that's amazing. I love that.
Come over here and say hello.
You both are so available to all these contestants. I love it.
You could call it available or desperate and needy.
Hi, Robbie.
Robbie, it's so nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you too. I would have moved Erica out of where she was living myself.
You offered her to live with us.
I was like, this is going to stop right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's happy. She's in love.
Since Mark doesn't judge anyone, you do. So that's
yeah.
Yes.
Mostly she judges me.
Yes. Yes.
No, she doesn't. She really kind of guides me, so that's good. All right, honey, I'm very busy being a television celebrity, so I need you to step out of the thing.
Well, nice to meet you.
Robbie, it's so nice meeting you.
Thank you so much for sharing your husband with us for an hour and a half. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Back to the duties.
Yes.
Hurry up, we gotta go to the Grove.
I'm not going to the Grove. Oh, shit. I have 1 minute and then I have to go because I have a conference call I'm supposed to take.
Well, we were just about to wrap it up, Mark. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been so amazing.
Yes.
Would you like to plug anything, or where can people find
Maybe a new
on
podcast?
the internet? Did you have a new podcast coming out?
I'd like to plug a podcast, but all I can say is I'm going to do a podcast. I think it's going to be on YouTube as well as all the things.
Sure.
And I think it's going to happen by July 1st.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping it's going to happen with some really big partners. That's going to be cool, but it may happen right here at this table I'm at right now.
That would be amazing too.
Well, we'll be watching it, Mark.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We will
Thank you
let
so much
everyone
for your
know.
time. We really
Please-
appreciate it.
Please like, share, and subscribe, or whatever you're supposed to say.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice talking to you. I really appreciate all the support and the comedy you guys shared with us throughout the season.
Oh, thanks
And,
so much.
And this was a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mark.
And everybody else, we will be back tomorrow. We'll be interviewing Trace. We will be interviewing a bunch of tempties at 6 p.m., 7 at a time, including we got Blake, we have Juicy, Alexa,
Blake and
Marissa.
Juicy, they're so hot right now.
Paige. Yeah, we're basically taking over Mark's job, so it's gonna be very exciting.
All right, I gotta go.
All right.
Bye, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. We
Bye.
appreciate you.
All right, see you guys later. Okay, so Mark is gone, so I guess we can plug everything else. And we're interviewing Jillian tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
I
That's gonna be a
cannot
fun
believe
one.
we just had Mark on the podcast.
Dude.
I am floored. There was so much wisdom.
Starstruck.
I am starstruck.
Truly the superior Mark. Truly.
Truth Mark Wahlberg.
Oh,
Mark
there
Wahlberg,
were just
and
times
Robbie.
where like he'd be talking and I'd just be like, I hope he never stops.
I felt like I was at a bonfire.
I know. I did. And we all know bonfires are
super powerful.
Yeah. And that was powerful. That was
Yes,
powerful. And we got a Robbie appearance too. Oh my God.
I didn't even know that much about Robbie.
It's
and,
amazing.
It was just incredible.
I'm glad we got to ask about the Doors. It seemed like a good question.
Wow. He really is so not judgmental. That was crazy.
I know he's like so authentic
He's
like
such a good person.
I know. God, it makes me feel like a piece of shit.
I know. Our show would be so different if we were like him.
I know. We'd probably get more subscribers. Dude, I was like, God damn, I want to play basketball with Mark. Like,
I know.
You just
I wanna
know
go
every
play
time you're
softball with
walking to the
Mark.
court, you're like, shit's gonna get so fucking real.
Yeah, but
today.
he's real intense. And
Yeah.
then he's like, do you know why I just was able to fucking dunk on your ass?
It's because of your insecurities.
Because of your trauma, bitch. Because I traumatized you, bitch.
Did you ever think about the fact that you need to grow? Now watch this shot.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Yeah, grow a few feet so I don't posterize you.
Oh no, he's the sweetest guy. He's
And he's funny. He's
so
just
nice,
the
he's
man.
funny. Oh my God.
Wow.
What can you say? Except we're blessed, feeling blessed
Dreams
today.
come true.
Yep,
Dreams
they really
come
do.
true. Okay,
Yep.
so Jillian, one tomorrow.
1 p.m. Eastern. Trace 3.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
And then a million tempties.
At 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, we have the unofficial Tempters only reunion. I'm going to list everybody who's going to be there. Ray Rock, Paige, Marissa, Karina, Juicy, Alexa, and Blakey.
Yes.
Okay,
We
all
did
at
have
once.
Tommy originally scheduled. Tommy can't make it, unfortunately.
Yes, he probably has to fight fires or something. So
yes, we wish
he's
him luck.
excused.
We'll be thinking about him.
Maybe he has to
the
buy
entire time
property,
worried.
I'm not sure.
We're going to be
Yes.
worried sick the entire time. I'm not even
Yes.
sure we can do the interview.
Yes, so unofficial Tempty reunion tomorrow, and then we'll be interviewing Ash at 2 p.m. on Saturday. So get excited, Tempty fans.
And hey, check out our Patreon, everybody. Happy birthday to the Queen. Well, guess what? Our Patreon episode this week was talking about Prince Harry, but not actually
coincidentally.
Prince Harry. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was planned, Max. Let's say it was planned.
Yes.
No, we
Because we love
covered
the Queen.
the 2014 Fox show I Want to Marry Harry. It was canceled in 4 episodes. They tried to trick 12 American women into thinking they were dating Prince Harry. So, we recapped that pilot. It's a lot of fun. And guess what? Only $5 a month to be able to access that content every single week. And we're having a lot of fun doing those episodes. So give that a look.
Support
you.
us. We brought Mark Walberg to you. Now, now give us money. It would be nice. Come on. It's the best podcast there is. It's
Yes.
a cool thing to do.
No.
Who else is bringing you 7 tempties at once? Okay, no one. That's amazing.
We do appreciate everybody listening to these podcasts. We appreciate everybody who listened throughout the whole season of Temptation Island and engaging with us. So thank you for that. And we look forward to giving you more content.
So subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Instagram, Reality Alert Podcast on Instagram, Twitch, Reality Alert _ and all that good stuff. That's Twitter, not Twitch. Anyway, okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your 2 best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's Reality Alert.
If you don't say your truth,